Okay, so the final part, final, okay? So as the evacuation siren went off, and then multiple lorries started driving by. So is that fear of, is this the end? And then Keegan returned. Keegan, remember, Keegan is Marisol's wife. She's a tall soldier, really tall, but then looks gaunt because she's not eating well because of the war. But then she has this presence, commanding presence, a star on her clothes to show she's a captain. So as she returned, she's like, Marisol. They're like, oh, she's not here. She's at the infirmary. So while Iris went with Keegan to the infirmary, they're walking there. They asked Roman to get dashbacks because they're trying to evacuate, right? So on their walk, Keegan was now like kind of bringing Iris up to date that Dacre was about to assault Clover Hill. Clover Hill is the town next to Avalon Bluff, which is where Iris, all these people are currently at. Okay, so Clover Hill is also the town that used to give them the sirens, because they have a vantage point to see when it's those Dacre's creatures are coming. But now Dacre is about to assault that place, that Clover Hill, burn the town down, and then he'll be done with it in about 24 hours, and Avalon Bluff will be next. Do you get? So they had until morning. This is like morning of today, and you have until morning of next day before Dacre arrives. So Keegan now was not like, so what's your name? And she was like, I'm Iris Winner. There's a way Keegan's eyes widened, like, oh, you're that girl. You get? So Iris knew she's heard my name before. But there was no time for this. They got to the infirmary. The infirmary came in view. Keegan hurried in, saw Marisol. Marisol saw her, ran, jumped on her, the whole reuniting thing, kissing and talking and things like that. So while many people are leaving, they're also getting some volunteers of people who would stay back to fight because they need soldiers. Iris wanted to leave. No, she felt bad leaving, but she's like, because of Roman's injuries, we need to go so that he can recover. So that's when Keegan was like, don't leave without this letter. And it was from a lieutenant. The inquiry, that letter she wrote inquiring about her brother. When she wrote to the division her brother was initially in, say, oh yes, your brother, he was gravely wounded. His entire company perished at River, so-and-so place. But he's alive, and he's fighting. He's at Mariah. And Mariah was 80 kilometers southwest of this Avalon Bluff, so it's close by. So because of that, Iris wanted to stay and meet her brother. So she now had to go back home and tell Roman that you can't go. I mean, I'm not going to ask you not to go, but the reason I came all the way to the west is to meet my brother. Knowing he's close by, I can't go back. He's my last family. She's like, I'm not going to ask you to stay. But then he says he's going to stay, and she felt relieved. So now back at the house, went inside. Everything was chaotic for a while with helping people pack and starting to evacuate. So at the house, Iris noticed that someone entered. The person literally trumped the garden that she's trying so hard to grow planting. Like trumped it without care, walked through it like that. And then the papers that fell off from the typewriter, the person walked all over it, left dirty boot print on it. So she's like, somebody was in this house. And then at that moment, the siren that had been going off at Clover Hill since now stopped. What does complete silence mean? It's never a good thing, okay? So when Marisol came back to the house, she noticed that just 2 dashbacks are missing. And not just that, Roman is going to notice later that one of his jumpsuits is missing. So why did this person steal from them? Who is this person? But when they saw it's a soldier's footprint, they're like, okay, maybe it's a soldier. Now, with everything going on, Avalon Bluff no longer feels like this haven. When they come back from the front lines, it feels like, okay, place to breathe. Now it feels like a snare because danger is closer is way, way closer than ever now. But everybody was busy because they have to be busy. They have to get ready for morning. Marisol was cooking dinner for soldiers. Keegan was barricading the streets. And Iris was helping wherever, running errands between to and fro. So in the midst of all of these activities, it dawned on Iris that she still hadn't spread her mom's ash. So if she perhaps died the next day, her mom's ash wouldn't find a resting place. So that's how she now went to the Golden Field with Roman and Athi, and she spread her mom's ashes. Then that same day, Keegan taught Athi and Iris how to drive lorry. Just in case something happens, you people have to be ready to drive this thing and leave here. Athi was taller, so it was easier for her to learn how to the operations of the lorry than shorter Iris that her leg could not even reach the pedal. So by the time they came back from all those going up and down, Roman was in the kitchen. He was in the kitchen with Marisol. They were peeling potatoes. Then throughout the rest of the day, Iris was acting as a runner, and Arthur running up and down. But Roman was steadily in the kitchen because of his leg had to stay one place. And next thing they saw, they looked over, they could taste it in the air. Clover Hill was burning. That cray had burned, that was burning down Clover Hill. In the midst of all of this chaos, one of those cats, that property that Roman had to sit on a crate to wait for Iris to go and get Peter and the lorry. That property has a lot of cats. So I think one of the cats was like, oh, cats are their good luck charms. So she took one and said she'll keep it. So Roman was like, I am allergic. Iris was like, don't worry, that if it gets on your jumpsuit, you can remove it. I'll wash it for you. Wear the other one. Roman was like, that's when he was like, oh, one of his jumpsuits is missing. Then that was also when Iris looked at him and was like, Roman, did you have a bath? And he was blushing. So around that time, Afi now made Iris bait. Iris was like, I can't bait right now. So many things are going on. But she looked at her nails, looked at herself. She's like, I dirty Sha. So she now took her bath. And then by the time she finished, Afi had her pressed her jumpsuit, her other jumpsuit, and said, okay, I'm going to braid your hair and put flowers in it. She's like, what's happening? She now said, oh, you're getting married. Roman asked our permission and he's waiting in the garden to marry you right now. So Keegan officiated the marriage. And then by the time soldiers came to eat supper, they congratulated the happy couple. Roman's wound was hurting, but he was trying to hide it from Iris. She noticed and she was worried. Quickly, their wedding night came. The wedding room they set for them, that's Roman's room upgraded, was really nice. They lit candles, was romantic. They doubled the blankets because they don't have bed now to make it softer for them to lie on. It was a little awkward, and to make things easier, Roman was like, okay, I read my, the letters I wrote to you out loud to you. Read your own back to me. Then she read it to him. And at the end of the day, he was like, you and I are better together. No matter what, you and I are better together. So in the dark room, that's when they did the deed, enjoyed their wedding night. And when the deed was done, they're about to fall asleep, and she kissed him. She tasted salt on his lips, which means he had tears running down. I mean, is this guy a softie or what? Who loves like this? Who in the friggin' world loves like this? So, and then he told her tomorrow. He held her hand tight. We stay together no matter what. So morning comes, and then Iris is thinking, it's too cold for spring. Why is it so cold? And then Roman's body was hot like a furnace. And that's when it dawned on her. It's atrials when they are coming. They freeze up the place. You get? So atrials are coming. And she's like, why was there no siren? She's like, oh, there's no siren because Clover Hill is gone. Do you get? So they all went downstairs. They dressed up quickly. They went downstairs. And then the house was rocking on its foundation, okay? Like it was, it was booming all around. The bombs were going off. But then, as everybody knelt, Iris knelt because that shock covered her head. So Roman knelt with her, his bad leg forgotten, pulled her into his arms. So she's in shock. It's feeling like an earthquake is happening. And then Marisol, she's there in a red dress, revolver in hand, long dark hair. She knelt beside them. Then she now said something remarkable. That this is making me have thoughts, actually. But we can't confirm this until later. She now told them, have faith. This house will not fall. Not while I'm in it. And that happened. So next thing, the air was warmer, which means the atrials have left. So Marisol now leaves. Like she leaves to go and do whatever she has to do. And Iris and Roman were like, oh, Keegan asked us to keep her safe. So they followed. So they noticed that most buildings on High Street were on skate, like where Marisol's B&B is. They just had shattered windows. Some houses were leveled. Some even caught fire. Those with thatched roof and things like that. And then they were thinking, oh my God, Keegan was stationed on the hill and the hill was bombed. So they got up another steep cliff called a bluff. A steep cliff like that is called a bluff. Probably why Avalon is called Avalon Bluff, because it's probably set on a hill. So when they stood on that cliff overlooking the town, it appeared as if there was a pattern of destruction. Because one home will be standing, but then the next door home is demolished. It seemed as if there were specific routes that were protected from bombs. And Marisol's B&B was included in those routes. So that's an uncanny observation. What the hell is going on? I would like to hear your theories. Really, I would. So now they looked up the road and Keegan was coming down. And though she was bleeding from the wound on her face, thankfully she was alive. But then many soldiers were down. Many were, this particular girl, half of her legs had been blown off, but her up is still there. And she's like, why can't I feel my legs? Why can't I feel my legs? That kind of shock. You're alive, but you're supposed to be dead. Before you see what's wrong with you, and then bang. So, I'm not going to lie, I don't like war books. I really don't. What Iris had expected, from reading about history and war of humankind, that Dakre would be gunfire in streets that would happen, or grenades. But he had just sent Atrials with bombs. War with gods is so unpredictable, it's never what you expect it to be. So Iris went looking for a stretcher, and here, stretcher is that thing that they use at the trenches. I was looking for that thing that medical personnel used to carry, because they wanted to carry one soldier girl, that one of her legs was blown off. So, but she in her process of looking for a stretcher, she now went to one of the barricades to claw off a board, and in her process of clawing off, she didn't notice that the wind ceased. Frost on cobblestones, monstrous white bodies, Atrials, they arrived again. At that moment, she tried to go back. And when she now stood up, she saw Roman. They were just 5 paces apart. They locked eyes, unmoving. Next to Iris, unfortunately, there was a wounded soldier that wouldn't stay still. He was crying, crawling, looking for his mom. They were asking him to stay still, stay still. He was crying, looking for his mom. Remember, Atrials, stay still. But this dude, he's giving her away. So next thing, the Atrial dropped something, small and shiny from the sky. So at this moment is slow motion, because all Iris's memories are flashing in her head when her grandma was alive, the diner, growing up, her brother, better times. Do you get? All those times are just flowing in her head. And then the supposed bomb dropped, the small shiny object dropped. And then she looked at it. It wasn't a bomb. It was a metal canister. Next thing, gas now coming out of it. Burning eyes and nose, things like that. That's effect. You're coughing, your eyes, you can't see your nose. So, Roman and Iris were within close range to just hold each other's hands. But for some reason, they lost each other. And then, in her head, Iris is just get clean air, get clean air. So she's not trying to find a way to get clean air. So she now went to stand on a barricade. She now saw Marie, Marisol, in her red dress. She was heading towards the lorry side with Athi. So where she was, Iris was trying to take deep breaths so that she can follow after them. The next thing, because there's so many gas that was dropped by the Atrial, so it's all green all over. And then when you get to a street side thinking, oh, you find fresh air there, wind will carry that side. You go to the other side, wind will carry that side, trying to cover everywhere in green. You understand? So from that place she's standing at that barricade, Roman appeared. You get in his jumpsuit, the reading Roman, and he was wearing a gas mask, so he had a distorted voice. And then he held her hand tight in almost a punishing tightness. And then he now put a face mask, the gas mask on her. And instead of leading her towards the lorry where Athi and Marisol went, he was leading her away. Then she was like, why are you taking me away? He was like, don't look back, it's faster, in that distorted voice. But then she noticed, okay, why is this guy not limping? This is that. And then that's when she looked back. When you're wearing a gas mask, you're not really seeing things the way you see with your eyes. Everything is just all shaky and blurry and looking somehow. So she now felt somebody was running behind her. She's like, who is running? This person. She now had to remove her hand from the person that is dragging her, the supposed Roman. And she now removed her gas mask and saw it was Roman limping towards her. And there was blood in front of his jumpsuit. What? Why is there blood in front of his jumpsuit? And then she was now fighting the other guy, holding her who the hell are you? And then the person now said, stop fighting me, little flower. And it's like, it's me, it's me, your brother, Forrest, that we need to go. She was still fighting. No, he's my husband. That's Roman. He's close by. I need to get him. Roman would fall. And she tried to run towards him. Forrest would grab her back and say, no, we have to go. Things like that. And then Roman, at a point, he was literally, because at a point, he couldn't even run or walk anymore. He was now crawling on the grass, and the gas was even coming up to his side. Blood was dripping from his chin.
At a point, Roman was only a few paces away, and Iris wanted to reach for him. She wanted to reach for his hand, but then before she knew it, her brother hauled her back, literally sent her flinging back. So there's now a whole world, and then she passed out. So by the time she woke up, they've gone far away from there. They were in the forest, and then she kept begging him they have to go back and marry to him. Even though he was like, Forrest was like, you don't understand that this is war, that I only made provisions to save you. I can't save you and him. She's like, let's just go back and check that he was just there. Let's just go back and check. And Forrest was trying to tell her Dacre has already overtaken Avalon Bluff. She said, I have to go back. He's my husband. So they went back, and true to Forrest's words, Dacre's flags, they were hanging overhead, atrial eye, blood red eye and things like that. And it did not even look like there used to be all of that smoke and chaos in Avalon Bluff. Everything is just like overtaken by Dacre. Iris went down on her fours, and she now crawled through the golden field. This is like dry field sort of. So it scratched her, really badly scratched her underarms, like gave it all this lacerations, and she was bleeding too. But when she got to that spot that she saw Roman lying in, there was only like a large ring drawn there in the dirt and Roman's blood on the grass, but Roman was gone. And Forrest was like, he's not in Avalon Bluff, because Iris was like, where is he? Do you know where he is? Her brother Forrest was like, he is not in Avalon Bluff. It's as if he knew something, but he couldn't say. He just said, Little Flower, we've already checked and he's not here. We need to go. So they had to crawl back, and for many days they camped out in the woods. And one of the things that Iris noticed about her brother Forrest is that he changed a lot, because she'll be shaking or shivering or crying, and he's not making effort to comfort her like he used to before he left for war. He was just on the other side, kind of minding his own business. And then he refused to let anyone see them, to get help from any of the lorries passing by on the road that are probably on Enver's side. He just wanted them to stick inside the forest and the woods. They get, like, he seemed so paranoid about something. She was like, what happened? She was just wondering. She even asked him, what happened to your company, your platoon, your lieutenant, your uniform? Then he's like, they are gone. That's what Forrest told her. And in her mind, she's thinking, are you sure my brother is not a deserter? Because that's it was. Like, when a soldier abandons his station, it's considered treasury of the highest order. And each time, Forrest kept watching Iris, kept watching her closely, as if she might try to escape, and he didn't want that. Then Iris, she didn't try to escape. She just kept walking on her brother. And in her mind, she was thinking, I hope that Marie and Arthur, they moved far away from here and that they're safe. I hope no harm has come to them where they are. I hope that they didn't keep waiting for me. I hope they're moving. On one of the evenings of sitting with Forrest and her brother, in the woods and things like that, she noticed that, oh my God, Forrest, why are you bleeding from your chest? He now told her, because the blood that came out from his chest stained his jumpsuit. And he told her, oh, it's nothing, it's going to stop in a short time. And it did. And she was wondering, this is strange, because he actually said it's an old wound. So she's wondering, why did an old wound open and start bleeding afresh? Like, she had so many questions, but she knew her brother was not going to answer them. One time, she was looking at him, and she noticed, like, his neck, around his neck button collar was, like, open. And she now saw her mom's locket, that one that she dropped back at the trenches, that, when they were, like, escaping now. That time, Roma went to the front line. So she's like, how does he have my locket? Because we all deserted there after that. That means it's Dacre soldiers that would have gone through the trenches after that time. And that means my brother was fighting on Dacre's side. How? Why? Why would he fight on Dacre's side? Do you get? And this was happening the day before they boarded the train. And on that day, Forrest also, he had a proper bath. He washed his jumpsuit. So when it got dry, he now wore it, and they now boarded the train, because they now look like, oh, two reporters boarding the train. It's not suspicious. You get that sort of thing. And the thing is, at that time, he was washing his jumpsuit and bathing. Obviously, he was bare-chested. So Iris had a chance to really look at her brother Forrest, and see the 3 old scars. Like, there are 3 bullets, old scars. And she was like, she couldn't even imagine how hurtful they must have been to pierce the skin. And she was like, they really did look like old wound. And it now made her wonder, so why were they bleeding that day? But the thing is, those 3 bullet wounds are at such strategic, fatal points. Like, the places that they hit, he's not supposed to be alive. He's not supposed to be sitting opposite her, because he was sitting opposite her in the train. One of them hits below his heart, one hit his liver, where his liver is supposed to be, and then his intestine. These are fatal wounds. So how did he survive that? Then they arrived at Oath. Oath was largely unchanged, still noisy, as though war has not touched it yet. So they went to their flat. As they now arrived there, she told him, Mom is gone, and we don't have electricity. Candles over there. He turned it on. The flat was really dusty and everything. So Forrest now pulled her clothes, because they sat on the sofa together. He now hugged her and that's more a little inkling of, okay, this is still my brother. Then that's when he now told her something and said that, see, I would not have been able to pull away from Dark Ray's forces, even though I was so exhausted. That, but seeing that locket there, that glimmer of gold in the trenches where all around there is just blood and war, that it gave me will to pull out. And then he now said that he was like, what is Iris doing here? But then it dawned on him, because it was easy to locate her, that she's staying at Marisol's bed and breakfast, and that she's serving there as a reporter. So he just lived on the outskirts. He was just watching her. That day that she suspected that someone was watching her in the garden with Roman, that day that she was straddling him and wind blew, he was actually the one. What happened is that Forrest was supposed to have died from those bullets, because that place they left them at. He was actually supposed to perish with all of his crew and things like that. But then when the people heard that Dark Ray was coming, they couldn't move him now, since he was in such fragile state, because he'd been holding on for days. So every other person left him. So when Dark Ray came and he was on the point of death, Dark Ray saved his life, healed him. Because remember, Dark Ray is God of healing and vitality, but it's not what he's doing with it. So you can see maybe why they are trying to drag injured soldiers away, so Dark Ray will not heal them and recruit them to his army. Do you get that sort of thing? So the thing now start making Iris wonder about Roman. Did Dark Ray take him? Would she rather have him on the enemy's side or dead? Because those are valid questions. What would you rather have? Okay? So Forrest was like, Iris, I need you. Based on everything he's been through, he needs his sister to keep him sane. He needs his sister to kind of be this light at this very dark moment for him. So after everything, Iris went to her room. That folded paper she left now, because that last paper that Roman sent her when he was trying to convince her not to go to Avalon Bluff, not to go to war as a war correspondent, that she didn't read because she didn't want her mind to be changed. She now finally picked it up, and then it was like, Iris, it's me, Kit. But she never saw that letter, until after now that she had gone and come back. So would things have changed if she'd actually known before she left Oates that it was Roman she was texting, like she was typing or exchanging letters with? We don't know. Look at what happened to Roman, because they have there's a prologue and an epilogue. Epilogue is the ending part. So in the epilogue, Dark Ray, when he finally arrived at Avalon Bluff, because he asked his underlings, go and scout out injured soldiers that I can recruit to my cause. Sometimes they found some people that were good, sometimes they found people that are useless. But then there's a way he himself personally can feel a soul that will serve him, like a soul of ice. You understand? Fire don't tend to serve him well, but ice does. Ice means there's a strong will to live. So that's when he came upon Roman, bleeding from the mouth, had a minute and 48 seconds to expire, die. So being the god of healing, he now asked his underling, his servant, to draw a ring around Roman. He healed him. So they took him beneath ground. So, and then Dark Ray now looked towards Oates' side, towards Enver, because that's where he's heading. And this is where the story ends. I did not know this book is a 2-part series. That's why I was raving on my WhatsApp status, like, why had I not warned me that it's a 2-part series? And why am I not checking? So this is the last time. Fool me once. How do they used to say that thing? Fool me once, fool me twice. Shall they fool me twice and I accept? Whatever they say, they're calling me, I accept. So in this case now, I think the second book is coming out this December. So I might do the final book in January. But regardless, I will be checking any book before we do it on this podcast. If it's not complete, I might take a break. But I'm still going to do Fort Wing and Iron Flame. I should do that end of this month, January-ish. So please look forward to that. And have a fantastic rest of the week before weekend comes, okay? Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you listening.